Welcome to St. Lauretta's Academy, an all-girls boarding school nestled deep in the quiet hills of Amoncha State. From the outside, it is the kind of school parents dream of for their daughters. Grand gates, manicured lawns, dormitories lined with flowering vines, and a motto carved into marble: discipline, purity, excellence. But inside its high walls, there is one rule every girl knows. No one leaves until the matron says so. And no one ever questions the matron. St. Lauretta's was founded over 20 years ago by Sister Verena and her younger brother, Felix Ngozi, a respected politician in Amoncha State. They presented the school as a charity for bright but underprivileged girls across the country. Orphans, daughters of struggling farmers, street hawkers, all were given the chance to wear the pristine white uniform of St. Lauretta's and gain a world-class education. The press called it a miracle school. Newspapers printed smiling photographs of Sister Verena standing with new students, and parents prayed for their daughters to be chosen. What the world didn't know was that St. Lauretta's was never about education. Classes were just a cover. The girls didn't sit for national exams, and no graduates were ever seen in universities. Instead, the students were quietly groomed for something far darker. The matron, Sister Verena, was not the kindly nun she appeared to be. Behind her gentle smile lay a woman with a steel heart and a greed that knew no bounds. Felix used his influence to shield the school from inspections, while Verena ran it like a fortress. The rule was simple. Once you entered, you stayed until the school decided you could leave. And that decision was almost never made. The first girl to uncover the truth was Ijeoma, a shy 16-year-old from Obins whose mother had died giving birth to her. She had been hawking roasted corn on the highway when a black SUV pulled up and a well-dressed woman, Sister Verena, bought everything she had. Verena told her about the academy and promised her a bed, 3 meals a day, and the chance to become a lady of honor. Ijeoma didn't hesitate. She packed the little she owned and followed Verena to the hills. For the first few days, she thought she'd entered paradise. The food was unlike anything she had ever tasted. Soft bread with butter, steaming plates of rice, and meat that melted in her mouth. She slept in a bed so big she could roll over twice without falling. She was given a uniform and told she would start special classes soon. But on the 5th night, she was woken by the sound of muffled crying from the dormitory next door. Curious, she crept down the hall and peeked through a half-open door. What she saw froze her blood. 2 older girls, barely 18, being led away by armed guards through a narrow passage she'd never noticed before. The girls didn't resist. They just walked with blank expressions, as if they had accepted their fate. When Ijeoma asked about it the next day, an older student whispered, "Don't ask questions. Just obey the matron. That's how you survive here." Weeks turned into months, and Ijeoma began to understand the school's true nature. Girls who reached a certain age were selected and never returned. Rumors spread that they were taken to secret facilities to work for wealthy men, their identities erased. New students arrived regularly, always from poor backgrounds, always far from home. The letters they were told to write to their families were never sent. One rainy evening, a new girl arrived. Ngozi, a spirited 17-year-old from Enugu who refused to be intimidated. From the moment she stepped into the dormitory, she asked questions. Why are there no holidays? Why are the gates always locked? Why don't we have a real library? The other girls warned her to keep quiet, but Ngozi was different. She wanted the truth. It was Ngozi who discovered the underground passage beneath the laundry room, a tunnel that led to a locked steel door. She was certain it was the route the older girls were taken through. She told Ijeoma, "We have to get out. If we stay, they'll take us too." One night, during the matron's inspection, Ngozi tried to slip away. Ijeoma hesitated, torn between fear and hope, but followed. They reached the tunnel and forced the steel door with a piece of iron. But as soon as they stepped outside into the cold night air, the blinding glare of headlights caught them. Guards appeared from the shadows, and the girls were dragged back screaming. The next morning, Ijeoma woke to find Ngozi's bed empty. No one spoke about her again. From that day, Ijeoma knew escape was impossible, at least not without outside help. And that help came unexpectedly. 3 months later, during a state inspection on unrelated matters, one of the officials, a young woman named Amara, noticed something odd about the school. The students avoided eye contact. There were no recent academic records. The air felt heavy, suffocating. She quietly pulled Ijeoma aside and asked, "Do you want to leave?" Tears filled Ijeoma's eyes as she whispered, "We all do. Please help us." Amara took the risk of returning after dark with a small police unit. That night, they stormed St. Lauretta's academy. The guards were overpowered, and the girls were herded into waiting buses. Sister Verena and Felix were arrested on the spot. The truth came out in the days that followed. St. Lauretta's had been running an underground trafficking ring for over a decade. Girls were sold into domestic servitude, forced marriages, and worse. Felix's political connections had kept the operation hidden for years. But now, with mountains of evidence and dozens of rescued girls ready to testify, there was no escape. Ijeoma and the others were taken to a rehabilitation center. For the first time in years, they slept without fear. The government vowed to prosecute everyone involved. Sister Verena and Felix were sentenced to life imprisonment without parole. Months later, Ijeoma stood at the gates of the rehabilitation center, free at last. She looked at the sky and whispered a silent promise to Ngozi, the friend who had dared to fight back. "I'll live the life you never got to live." The moral of this story is simple. Evil hidden behind kindness is the most dangerous kind. Always ask questions, even when the answers might be uncomfortable. And never forget, freedom is worth any risk.